And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Sunday, March 23rd, 2025. And across Alaska, we're waiting perhaps the arrival of a coronal mass ejection from the sun that could trigger a strong geomagnetic storm and perhaps a more active aurora. However, that has yet to happen. The forecast for that arrival was at some point today on March 23rd. So if skies are clear to partly cloudy in your location this evening as it gets dark, you may want to take a look, but otherwise that has yet to materialize, and it's possible it may not happen. In the far north, there is blowing snow along the eastern Beaufort Sea coast where winter weather advisory is in effect. I'll highlight that in a moment. And some measurable snow, 3-5 inches of snow could fall late tonight through Monday morning across the northern panhandle, especially up along the Klondike Highway above Skagway. And then it's looking like temperature-wise as we close out the month of March and go through at least the first week of April, temperatures are going to average below normal across much of the state. Taking a look at a couple of the FAA webcams this Sunday afternoon out in Nulato there in the middle Yukon Valley, there are some low clouds, light fog and snow, 20 degrees. This is that frontal boundary I've talked about kind of being stationary all weekend long, providing some periods of light to occasionally moderate snow. That feature is going to begin to weaken as we head into the day Monday. Skagway, look at the lowering of the clouds, the ceiling there. The snow will be developing. Skagway itself may not see that much snow, maybe a couple inches, but as you get, especially from elevations of 1,000 feet or higher, as you go up the Klondike Highway toward White Pass, that location will likely see the heaviest snowfall. But here on the hazards weather map, the two items of note: winter weather advisory that is in effect now through early Monday morning for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, Point Thompson, Kaktovik, Demarcation Bay for blowing snow, a little bit of light accumulation, but we're talking about visibilities at times could be down near a half a mile with winds gusting upwards of 30-35 miles an hour. And then we have this winter weather advisory for late this Sunday night through 1 p.m. Monday afternoon for the area of the Klondike Highway, especially at 1,000-foot elevation above Skagway. To White Pass, maybe as much as 3 to 5 inches of snow there as this little low comes into the northern part of the panhandle and flings some additional moisture up that way where the air will stay colder longer. The rest of the state, cold air has come down all the way across the west coast from the Bering Strait all the way down across the eastern Aleutians and in through the Alaska Peninsula. In fact, there are heavy freezing spray warnings for areas of Bristol Bay and outside of Kuskokwim Bay over the southeast Bering Sea into the day on Monday. Another note, we've had another fatal avalanche. A snowmobiler was lost yesterday when an avalanche occurred near Turnagain Pass. So again, this area has considerable avalanche danger for today. And again, as we head through this spring season, these are the areas like Hatcher Pass and down here along the eastern Kenai and the area in the mountains from near Valdez over towards Thompson Pass is where the greatest avalanche danger is. But if you're going to be out in the backcountry, whether it's skiing or recreating using a snow machine, be very careful along those steeper grade slopes because there's a lot of instability with the snow that's sitting out there right now. And coming up this week, we have Tsunami Preparedness Week. And to kick things off, tsunamis, they are deadly, we know that. And coastal areas of Alaska are at risk, especially along the Aleutian chain, up through the Gulf Coast into the Panhandle. Tsunamis can cause rapid flooding of the surrounding land and coastal areas with tremendous destruction, like what happened during the great 1964 earthquake here in Alaska. And certainly strong currents can drown anyone along the shoreline there and destroy boats and harbors very easily. So the most important thing is to prepare for a tsunami. If you live, work, or play on the coast, you should prepare. Learn evacuation routes. Where are those? Identify safe places, higher ground, and practice evacuating, especially if you live along and near these areas. But on the satellite imagery this Sunday afternoon, we have that there's that low over the eastern Gulf that's going to be coming northeastward up across the northern panhandle tonight into Monday morning, and that's going to bring some additional snow, especially to the mountains in the panhandles, the intercoastal mountains up against British Columbia and the northern part of the panhandle, especially there in the mountains above Haines and Skagway, and especially in the vicinity of White. Chilkoot Pass could pick up several inches of snow tonight into Monday morning. Otherwise, we have this front that's near stationary across the western mainland, and that's been the focus of some periods of light to even occasionally moderate snow in the Arctic air. On the other side of this front, coldest air has been up over eastern Russia, but some of that's breaking loose, heading quickly southeastward. So all along this area of the Bering Sea, eastern Bering, west coast, we've seen colder temperatures, and it's going to push all the way south of the Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula as we head into Monday. So late tonight into Monday morning, here's that little lull that's going to enhance some of the snow in the mid-upper elevations of the mountains here across the Panhandle, especially in the north. And then this low sitting southeast of Kodiak Island will continue to keep some showery weather along areas of the Gulf Coast. And then this front that is stationary still has some areas of mainly light snow along that, but this feature will begin to break down as we go through the day on Monday. And there's this ridge of high pressure out over eastern Russia through the central Bering and south of the central Aleutians, followed by another low and a front. This is a gale force front that'll be working its way eastward across the western half of the Aleutians as we get into Monday. So by Monday afternoon, we have still that low southeast of Kodiak Island, a couple spokes of energy of what was once a low, or just rotating around with a little moisture and some of that energy. And then the front out here over the western interior begins to weaken to more of just a weak trough, and it tries to inch eastward. It still could have some light snow showers or areas of light snow and fog along it. And then the ridge dominates the area from the Bering Strait down south of the central Aleutians into the North Pacific. And this front will have some gale force winds and mainly rain along it as it pushes through the western Aleutians. By Tuesday afternoon, we have another weak low rotating up along the northeastern Gulf Coast, just kind of provide some additional instability enhancement to any rain snow showers in the area. And then back further west, that's what's left, just this weak trough in the interior of once what was that front. There still could be a few light snow showers or areas of light snow with that, but less defined. And then to the west, the occluded front, now working past the central Aleutians on Tuesday, will begin to break down as well. So that by Wednesday, we find just a trough of low pressure lagging or lingering across the Gulf Coast. There's another fairly deep low, a 970 millibar low, well west of the Pacific Northwest lower 48 coast, and that low is going to try to come back toward the north and west here as we progress through the week. Otherwise, just a scattering of some lighter snow showers, Alaska Range, parts of maybe just on the west side of the Alaska Range down here into areas of the Alaska Peninsula. And then all that's left of that old occluded front is a very weak low circulation and trough of low pressure in through the central Bering. So temperatures tonight, Monday morning, lows are going to be below zero, North Slope, Arctic coast, Yukon Flats, especially around Arctic Village, 11 below. Could be 11 below at Shishmaref or Wales and Teller there along the Bering Strait, and even down here into the lower Yukon and Kuskokwim basins. We're looking at lows below zero, 8 below at Bethel, 16 for a low at St. Paul, and even some teens upper teens showing up here, trailing out toward Cold Bay. And then going up here along the Panhandle, readings will generally stay above freezing with the exception in the higher elevations in some of those intercoastal mountains in the area in the northern part of the Panhandle. Monday afternoon temperatures plus or minus a few degrees above or below zero there along the Arctic coast and North Slope. Still chilly there, northern and western Seward Peninsula. May get readings back up a bit above freezing. Get the valley warming this time of year with sunshine. 35-ish around places like Fairbanks and even on up over toward Northway. 40 degrees Talkeetna, and we could see readings around or a bit above 40 in areas that have less in the way of snow around Anchorage, especially the Palmer, Wasilla could be up into the mid-40s, and then we see readings in the 40s, even a 50-degree reading not out of the question there around Craig and Klawock. And then another cold morning in the north, Tuesday morning lows, 10 to 16, 15 below there along the North Slope Arctic coast. Still around 10 below or even a bit colder than that over the Seward Peninsula. And readings across the southern interior get below freezing at night. So watch out for those icy spots on parking lots, the roadways because of the daytime melting. And then readings stay relatively mild. Most of the panhandle should stay above freezing for Monday night into Tuesday morning. And with Tuesday afternoon highs, we're looking at 40s to near 50 degrees, the southern and outer panhandle. And still some readings getting back up around or a bit above 40. As I said, it could be another 45-degree day there, Wasilla, Palmer, down toward Homer, where there is less in the way of snow on the ground, and really none at all. And then in the far north, we have highs nearer or still a little below zero along the Beaufort Seacoast from Utqiagvik all the way eastward to Kaktovik, and it stays below freezing over the Pribilovs as well as across much of the Alaska Peninsula, even into the day on Tuesday. And here's the extended temperature outlook to close out the last day of March, March 31st through April 6th. So the beginning of April, that first week of April, is looking chilly across the state. It's very likely temperatures, just taking a look at some of the upper level pattern, mid-level pattern, what kind of foreshadows this. It's indicating that our temperatures will be below normal there for the beginning of April. Even if you get some sunshine, it'll feel good because this time of year the insulation from the sun is stronger, but the air mass itself will be cooler. That could lead to some instability, and there's also some signs we could have a few systems coming in off of the Gulf that could even spread some moisture, snow that is, into south central at some point early in April. Take a look at that as we head through the next few days. But precipitation-wise, at least the very end of March into early April, looking the best chance of above normal precipitation north of the Alaska Range from around Fairbanks, Yukon Flats, the Brooks Range on across the North Slope to along the Arctic coast all the way to Utqiagvik, with near normal precipitation likely across the southwest, southern areas around the Cook Inlet, Prince William Sound, extending down along the Alaska Peninsula, as well as most of the Panhandle, may end up seeing near normal precipitation here to start out early April.